ScouterStan. Want to talk about that never-ending phenomenon we know as the phrase 1 hour a week. We as scout leaders know that it takes a little more than that to really put together a quality program. It's important that as a scout leader, we make the most of our time towards planning and actually putting together a really good program for our youth. Now, you also have to include travel time and setup time, cleanup time. All that stuff has to be included in your donated time every single week. Most adult leaders don't really realize it, but they put in about 150 hours plus every single year. And time is one of those things that you have to manage. You have to be ahead of it. Otherwise, it is going to fly by before you know it. It's often said that you have to work your meeting plan, or the meeting is going to plan to do you. Remember to utilize your assets, such as meeting plans and delegation. Now, before we go much more into timing and using that time, I want to thank you for your time, for joining us in this podcast. I know that it's been kind of crazy lately. The last season, season 5, there were lost episodes, and they just didn't get posted in a timely manner. That's my fault. That's a technical thing. I'm not very high tech, but I try, and I'm working on that. So hopefully everything will go through just fine in the future. Being that this is season 6, there's more to this than you might think. We are going to try to add some things so that the podcast kind of mirrors up exactly with the video on YouTube. And we're going to start having more fun. And in that, we're going to put in what I call a Scoutmaster's joke. With each episode, we are going to add a Cubmaster or Scoutmaster, unit leader, even committee members can use these. These are Scout-appropriate jokes, and it's meant to make it more fun. A lot of them are groaners, okay? What is known as a dad joke. And to start it off, why did the orange lose the race? It ran out of juice. I'm sorry. That was pretty bad. That's a bad joke. But see that you can lighten up the moment when it's appropriate by using these little jokes. And youth really respond well. They may groan, but I guarantee you they're going to tell the joke. Now let's get back to the subject of timing. Remember that when things go off the rail, it's how you handle it that counts. Telling a joke might be a great way of just making the moment less serious, but it brings the point across. I've often said that when highly trained scout leaders get caught in the rain, they get wet. So you have to kind of go with the flow. Try to anticipate issues by planning out your meeting. Plan to succeed. That's the only way. Now, on that subject, you cannot plan every single moment. With youth, you often have to think about free time, downtime. A lot of us leaders call it goofing off, but in scouting, we call it fellowship. It's critical to develop non-scripted activities. And if you just can't do it, you can't bring yourself to plan time off, put in activities that can be optional. Now, depending on the area and council that you're in, the better retention of leaders, and this is their time that they're donating, you got to retain those leaders, and it depends on training and a perceived value. Some districts and councils do a better job of retaining leaders because those leaders know that they are appreciated. The professional staff should always be loyal and supportive to volunteers. Recognition is a great way to thank volunteers for their donated time. With that in mind, we have to think about scout leaders' time. And not everybody that's listening is a scout leader. That's a given. Most scout leaders are between 1 and 5 years. That's about 67% of all the adult scout leaders. They're directly involved with their own kids in a pack or a troop. Long-term scout leaders, 6 to 12 years, represent about 28%. And this is a parental commitment for the scout, their own kids, for their progression through Cub Scouts, through a pack, and into a troop. Then we get into life scout leaders, 13 to 20 years. That seems to be a full generation. It's not only their own kids, but their peers at many different ages. They may go from a pack to a troop, and they might even go into a crew. The last one is old timers, and I'm a member of that. Scout leaders with 20 plus years that they put in because they believe in the scouting message for all generations. It only represents about 1% of the entire adult leadership. They typically do not go directly into packs or troops or crews, mainly because they are dealing with the adult leaders, so that giving them the skills and tools to move forward with their own scouting leadership. I hope this has been informative. We're going to try some new things. We're going to put in sound effects and things. We'll try. But bear with us, and we're going to put it together and have more about scouting. So until next time, I will see you on the trail.